Over 7.5 million illegal immigrants have crossed the U.S. border since Joe Biden was elected U.S. president in January of 2021, and the crisis is only getting worse. In this video, we're taking a look at America's illegal immigration nightmare and the impact it is causing on American society. How is the United States dealing with this problem? Is there any solution in sight? And what impact will it have on the upcoming 2024 presidential election? Let's get started. First of all, how bad is it? According to data from U.S. Customs and Border Protection, or the USCBP, there's been a dramatic increase in illegal immigrants caught crossing the U.S.-Mexico border in the past several years. The number increased significantly following the 2021 election of Joe Biden, with the USCBP reporting over 1.7 million encounters with individuals attempting to enter the U.S. illegally in 2021. This was a massive surge from the previous 4 years under former President Donald Trump. A recently released report by the House Committee on Homeland Security reveals that the surge in illegal immigration has imposed a substantial financial burden on the United States, estimating a cost of around $500 billion. The 49-page document emphasizes the enormous strain these undocumented migrants are having on America's society and economy. The strain caused by over 7.5 million illegal border apprehensions since early 2021 goes far beyond only economic and includes negative impacts across society. It's not only cities near the border in Texas, Arizona, and California which are struggling. Various liberal cities have also been hit with huge influxes of illegal immigrants and are trying to figure out what to do. Numerous liberal cities known for their historically open approach to immigration and status as sanctuary cities are now facing challenges in accommodating the influx of migrants. One example is San Francisco, where housing shortages and prices have become even worse due to the increased demand caused by the arrival of migrants. The strain on public services, including schools and hotels, is another consequence of the sudden surge in population. The mayors of New York City, Chicago, and Denver have also expressed considerable alarm over the national immigration crisis, with Denver's Democrat Mayor Mike Johnston highlighting the city's struggles to process arriving immigrants. Johnson estimates the cost to deal with this influx will be approximately $180 million in the 2024 budget, nearly 10% of the entire city budget. New York City is another liberal blue city that's been forced to respond to the illegal influx, with Mayor Eric Adams imposing new mandates for advance notice of migrant arrivals, specifying when and where they can be dropped off, admitting that the city has been overcrowded and overwhelmed by the number of people needing a place to stay and food to eat. While various Democrat mayors have accused Texas Republican Governor Greg Abbott of engaging in cruel and inhumane politics by transporting migrants across the country, he's made it clear he's only giving them a taste of the crisis they have encouraged and refused to take seriously up until now. Mexico has claimed it has plans to crack down on migrant smugglers, while their president has urged increased aid to countries like Cuba and Venezuela in order to stem the flow of illegal immigrants from these countries and other Central American hotspots like Honduras, Guatemala, and Nicaragua. The strain on public services in these liberal cities shows just how hard illegal immigration hits society at the most fundamental level. Schools in particular face increased enrollment demands and have to suddenly accommodate hundreds of new students out of nowhere. According to a report by the Migration Policy Institute, children from immigrant families, including those in the country illegally, have accounted for a significant portion of the increase in public school enrollment in recent years. Moreover, the use of hotels to accommodate migrants underscores the immediate need for housing solutions and has been incredibly expensive. The strain on the hospitality industry is a consequence of the surge in migration and can have economic implications for both the industry and the local communities. Then there's the task of finding a job for people who are suddenly in the workforce, often without any particular skills. Finding suitable employment for the influx of migrants is another critical aspect of the crisis. While the desire for a better life often motivates individuals to migrate, the reality of securing employment opportunities is much harder. Liberal cities already struggling with high unemployment rates among their existing populations now face the additional challenge of integrating new arrivals into the workforce and handling the increased load at every level, including on local hospitals and the healthcare system. Indeed, healthcare providers across the country are grappling with the consequences of the surge, with New York City hospitals recording nearly 30,000 visits from illegal aliens in the past year, along with approximately 300 births. Who pays for all the services that illegal immigrants take up in the emergency healthcare, benefits, schooling, and basic services? Who pays for it all? The answer, of course, is American taxpayers, along with drastic cuts to services that citizens can usually expect their local city government to have up and running. In August of last year alone, New York City was reportedly spending nearly $10 million per day to provide shelter and services to illegal aliens. New York City Mayor Eric Adams projected that the total cost of supporting illegal aliens arriving in the city could exceed $12 billion by 2025. Cuts by Mayor Adams to offset these costs might impact essential services, including overtime pay for first responders, potentially affecting police and firefighter presence on the streets. No police there to respond when somebody gets stabbed by an illegal immigrant drug dealer from Mexico? Well, that money went to house the illegal drug dealer from Mexico when he showed up in New York. Good luck getting seen at the ER. People's patience is running out, even in New York. Testifying before the committee in September, New York City Council Minority Leader Joseph Borelli noted that the unprecedented illegal immigration levels are hitting city taxpayers and placed responsibility on the Biden administration for orchestrating the crisis. Earlier this month, a growing outcry against the city's decision to shelter migrant families at a Brooklyn high school significantly disrupted the lives of students. Nearly 2,000 migrants were located from Floyd Bennett Field to James Madison High School during a storm in January, forcing local students to switch to remote learning. New York Assemblyman Michael Novikov, who joined the parents in protesting this decision, expressed their outrage and concerns about the safety and sanitation of the school. Novikov highlighted the abruptness of the decision and the lack of adequate communication with parents. The Assemblyman also drew attention to the potential health risks, emphasizing that migrants whose health status had not been thoroughly checked posed a danger to the students. He questioned the wisdom of using schools as shelters for migrants, emphasizing the absence of health screenings that legal immigrants typically undergo. A tweet from Education Department spokesman Nathaniel Steyer defended the use of schools as shelters, asserting that schools are a safe haven for all children, including migrants. Novikov countered this, arguing that the migrants' health checks were insufficient and the school environment was not suitable for their shelter. Novikov proposed ending the sanctuary city status and redirecting the right to shelter only toward homeless New Yorkers, emphasizing the availability of vacant commercial properties that could be leased for shelter purposes for migrants. Novikov underscored the importance of weather-independent solutions, contrasting them with current weather-dependent tents at Floyd Bennett Field. Another illegal immigrant disaster also recently occurred in Midtown Manhattan, where dozens of illegal immigrant families were forced out of their hotel shelter. Approximately 40 families at the Roosevelt Hotel reached the 60-day limit imposed on their stay paid by the government. Many of the children from these migrant families started their day attending school, only to return and find their parents waiting in line outside and reapplying for shelter and an extension after the city enforced a 60-day limit to encourage asylum seekers to seek more stable housing with family or friends, reducing dependence on city resources. While this transition worked for some families, others were left with no options. The city's shelter limit is designed to move families toward more stable housing solutions. City leaders facing criticism defend the policy as means of transitioning families to more stable housing. However, the situation has sparked investigations, with City Comptroller Brad Lander expressing concern and launching an investigation into the city's shelter policies and protocols. The report concluded with the acknowledgement of the challenges faced by pregnant asylum seekers like Maria Cuero, who is 8 months pregnant and was left unsure where to live by the eviction. Dr. Long, involved in assisting Maria and her husband, highlighted efforts to develop a housing plan for them moving forward, emphasizing the complexity and compassion required in addressing the evolving migrant crisis. These recent crises make it crystal clear that liberal cities like New York have a huge lack of planning, communication, and oversight about the potential risks posed by a mass influx of illegal immigrants. So what should be done? Addressing the illegal immigration crisis requires a comprehensive approach that combines both short-term and long-term solutions. Policy reforms aimed at addressing the root causes, such as investing in economic development and security in countries of origin, can help reduce the pressure on U.S. borders, but this still only goes so far. It's clear that U.S. border security needs to be made into a much bigger priority by the federal government, and that people like current Secretary of Homeland Security Alejandro Mayorkas need to be held responsible and impeached for their lack of efficacy and making this humanitarian disaster far worse. The southern border needs to be more secure, including finishing a border wall, improving deportation speed, and and cracking down hard on the cartels who are profiting from migrants along the border. With well-paying jobs and healthcare harder to find than ever for American citizens, patience is running out for the Democrat and Biden approach to this crisis. Holding up their hands and insisting that they are doing their best is no longer working for the American left. The American people, including millions of center-left voters, are now realizing beyond a shadow of a doubt that this crisis is very much real, and in fact, far worse than they realized. Demonizing Donald Trump or Republicans is no longer holding the same power as it once did for the American left, now that the reality of the crisis is hitting liberal enclaves from San Francisco to New York. Liberal cities once welcoming immigrants are now being forced to face reality and finding out that red states on the border who complained for decades weren't exaggerating. The illegal migrant crisis is real, and it's devastating. Caring about the well-being of those who show up illegally in the United States should always take a back seat to first caring for the needs of American citizens. As the 2024 presidential election approaches, the American right is emphasizing that it will be much stricter on border security. Trump's hard line on immigration is echoed by everyone, from Florida Governor Ron DeSantis to aspiring hopefuls Vivek Ramaswamy and Nikki Haley. There is no path forward politically in the U.S. for centrists or conservatives who are soft on immigration or choose to ignore the illegal immigration crisis. It's clear that Americans want solutions and real action on the border rather than just words, and that whoever ends up in the White House in January of 2025 is going to have a tall order in cracking down and securing the southern border, as well as addressing the numerous crises happening now inside the U.S. due to illegal immigration. If you like this video and want to learn more about what's really going on in the West, check out this video here. And if this video brought value to you today, please consider liking, subscribing, and sharing the video. Thanks for watching.